Well, come on. What's happened here? There we are. All right, we're live. 1 hour standing with Sparky. Hopefully we don't have too many problems. I got my boom out, so you're going to get an overhead shot here in the auto director as soon as it starts cycling. But what I'm going to do is detail sand. It'll be a every night thing till Saturday, and Saturday we'll go ahead and dope and cover this thing. It turned out really nice, really nice. I wish it was lighter. I wish it was in the 49-ounce range instead of 50-ounce, but I think knocking some of the weight off the landing gear would help. Matter of fact, let's take those landing gears off and we'll weigh them up and see what I think I can make them. I think those there were 1.25 ounces, and I bet these are a whole lot more. They look nice, but I just can't have the weight. Let's weigh one. I could take the wheel off, and John's got a 5-inch disc sander, just go, just grind him down to nothing. Let's get a ball driver here. Some tools and ball drivers and nonsense sticking out. There we are. You guys like the 6 o'clock time better than the 7 o'clock time? You know what? I might just go ahead and we'll see what this weighs. I might just go ahead and bust this off and make a new spat tonight. Let's see. Come on. 1.65. So let's take the other one off. If I could drop a bunch off the landing gear, that'd help. 4 views, 2 likes. 3.35 ounces. 1.65, 1.7. 3.35. If I could take an ounce off, that'd be great. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah, shit. It's got one of them busted off. $1.65. If I had a little more room, I'd take that airplane off the wall and try the landing gear on that one. Yep, I'll just go ahead and leave them as is for now. It's until I get over John's, and we'll just sand them off. If I run it on the disc sander, it'll be a whole lot easier than making a new one. Whatever. I think this one is this one. Yep. Just trying to figure out how to get as much weight off as I can. I can cut a little bit of this weenie off. Make it. Sure like to hit that 54, 55 ounce mark. I don't see it happening. We got 3, 4, we're at 50, so that's 54. 5, that's 55, and then the top coat. Yeah, it's gonna be 57. It's just not there. This thing needs to be 49 ounces somehow. 48 ounces. And for you guys that are trying to build light airplanes, you need to give it a try to see how hard it really is. To hit those astronomically low numbers. How the heck Billy does it, I have no clue. He must have some helium wood. Okay, we're going to break out the fingernail files and sand them. Hey, what we got here? Hey, Jim. Blew your ringmaster. Awesome. Cool. Ringmasters are fun. Jim, if you saw this airplane, you'd be proud of me. how I got it stripped down so good. Sandpaper on the sponge with the 320. just an immense amount of sanding to be done on this airplane. We're only 3 days or 4 days away from covering. I gotta get the hump on. Get the hump on if I want to get it done. Hit this with some 600 here. All the shaping is done now. It's all moving. Whether there's going to be any tidbit of knowledge you can pick up from sanding, I have no clue, but just a matter of sanding. I wish there was a way I could show you how laser straight these flaps are. I mean laser straight. And they're airfoiled, they're not done on a rod. I did a pretty good job 5 years ago. This was built in my shop in St. Louis. I can build them here, it's just end product is not as good. The light is crappy, no room, no tools, everything. All the airplanes I've built since I've been here, every piece has been done by hand. When I did this airplane, I used my machines, you know, my belt sander, disc sander, drill press. I mean, theoretically, I could do all the same stuff. You know, if I wanted to wait until the weekend and do it at John's. He has a super nice shop. But, you know, I can't get done all that much at John's. It's, you know, it's an hour out of the day driving. Probably another hour out of the day loading and unloading. Then we got an hour or two eating lunch. So if I stay over there from 9 to 4 o'clock, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, that's 7 hours, but you take away 3 of them, you get 4 hours work done. Yeah, 47.5 ounces. That's good for the 576. Sounds to me like you stayed on my diet. Okay, we need this. But this is an unusual project, Jim, because it was a strip job. My first one. I'm extremely pleased with how it came out. It's just like a new airplane. Matter of fact, it's better than new, because when it was new, I didn't have everything sanded as well. I ever tell you? I probably didn't. You guys probably aren't interested. This June 11th, I'll have 32 years clean and sober. And I'm going to tell you how I got that way. About 33 years ago, I was in Seattle, Washington. And I was drinking a lot. Homeless, didn't have any place to go. Was at the mission. And this guy came in and said, I'm going to the parades to fundraise for the Vietnam vets. Does anybody want to go? I said, count me in, I'll go. I got in the back of a box truck. And we rode all the way across. We stopped at a few parades, but rode all the way across the country. And we got to St. Louis. I said, I've had enough of this. I'm getting out. Didn't know where I was. They just let me out on the side of the freeway. They let me out at Creve Coeur. Anybody knows anything about St. Louis? Creve Coeur is the like Beverly Hills of St. Louis. I don't have any money. I don't have any clothes even. I just had one pair of pants, one pair of socks, one pair of shoes, one shirt. It was summertime. And so I'm out on the side of the freeway. I stuck out my thumb. And this lady picked me up. She said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I don't know. I've never been here before." And we talked a little bit. "She got any money?" "No." She gave me $10. And she said, "Where would you like me to drop you off?" I said, "I'd like you to drop me off any place that sells cheap draft beer." Well, she dropped me off at a tavern that had quarter beer night. 25 cents for a 10-ounce mug of beer. Well, I drank the $10 worth. Had a good time, shooting pool. About closing time, I didn't have nowhere to go, and I'm drunk. And I said, "You know what? I'm going to call the police." I called the cops, 911, and I told the operator my predicament. She said, "Well, we don't send police for that." I said, "Lady, if you don't send the cops over here, I'm going to take this shopping cart right here and shove it through this plate glass window." She said, "We'll send a car." Well, the cops showed up. I didn't have ID or nothing. And he said, "Where are you from?" I told him. "Where are you going?" I said, "I don't know." Anyway, he said, "Well, you can't stay here. Where you want to go?" I said, "Take me to jail." So we don't do that here. You know, I wanted a place to stay. He said, "We'll call you a cab." I said, "Mister, I ain't got no money for a cab." He said, "We'll pay for it." Well, they paid for the cab, and they gave me a ride to Salvation Army. And I stayed in Salvation Army about 3 days, detoxing. And I had enough of that. I said, "You know what? I need to get me a job." So I got the classified ads. And I made a couple phone calls. And the guy says, "Where you at?" And I said, "The Salvation Army." He said, "I'll be right there." Guy came down. Got me. Put me up in a motel. Got me some clothes. Gave me a job. Well, little did I know that he was a friend of Bill. Meaning a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Oh, shoot. Chipped the sheeting there. Need to fix that now. I worked for him for about 2 years. I still was drinking, and he was not happy about it. Well, I went to Illinois to the seedy part of town. End up writing a whole lot of bad checks. And I called him up and I said, "Well, I guess I'm going to jail." He said, "What'd you do?" I told him. He said, "I'll be right there." He come down and picked me up. He said, "Let me see your checkbook." He took my checkbook and tore it up. Went to the bank and he paid off what I had written, about $600. He said, "Buddy, you are checking yourself into treatment." And he checked me into Harris' house. I still continue to work for Steve. He checked me into Harris' house. And I stayed there for a year, which is inpatient treatment. After that, I stayed in the halfway house, their halfway house, for another year. But I came to St. Louis with zero money, zero ID, zero anything, no driver's license, nothing. And in 30 years of not drinking, 32 years of not drinking, I own a house and a car, everything's paid for, a whole big shit pile of tools. And the reason I'm telling you that story is to give you a little background on Alcoholics Anonymous. Friend of Bill, I'm sure you guys have heard me say that before. And what it'll do for you when you realize that there is a power greater than yourself, whether it be God, whether it be whatever, and you have no control. So you just kind of take things as they come. I'll never go back drinking, never. Now, we had a guy in our group that had 15 years clean, and he decided that he wanted to go see if he could have one beer. Not very smart. Well, Red didn't make it. Because, whether you guys know it or not, when you're an alcoholic, you leave off right, you pick up right where you left off. So if I were to start drinking right now, again, I would be in the same shape. I'd sell everything. I wouldn't have nothing within 6 months. Not a thing. So I feel with Stunhanger and my friends all around the world and build model airplanes, I'm pretty content. What more could a guy ask for? And that's my story. I don't know, I don't think I've ever told it online. You see what I'm doing here, breaking these edges. Really very important for a clean covering job. I mean, you don't have to, but the covering on a sharp edge, I don't know, kind of pulls down. It doesn't look quite right. So if you round them off, they look better. tricks of the trade. I've known some pretty famous people in my life. I used to drink at the Gene Autry Hotel, and I knew Gene Autry. When I worked for the Southern California Horse Racing Board, I worked for Tonto, J.R. Silverheels, so I know him. I was a mechanic at the marina, and John Majors, which you guys know him as Lee Majors, the fall guy. I used to work on his boat. I knew his son. That's where that funny story about my mom saying, "Don't you know who that is?" "No, who is he?" "Well, he's a $6 million man. Great, and $1.50 ain't gonna bust him." Life in the desert was a hard life. How I made it, I don't know. We had this big old cop, his name, Big Indian, about 350 pounds, Juan Ohm. I think that was it, yeah, Juan Ohm. Sheriff's Department. Somebody called the sheriff because there was a skunk in the backyard, and Juan couldn't get up over the block wall. So I jumped up on top of the 8-foot high block wall, and I said, "Yep, he's down there." He said, "Here, take my gun and shoot him." Well, Jim, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not be completely honest with themselves. They are not at fault. They have just been born that way. They say Jesus was a carpenter. I wonder if he was a cabinet maker. He could build model airplanes. I come from a whole family of carpenters and woodworkers. My ancestors were shipbuilders, wooden shipbuilders. We used to go to Pomona Fair, and they had this pool, probably was 100 foot in diameter, and they used to run tether boats. Dumbest tether boats, hydros. I thought that was so cool. I tried to build one, but I lost interest. I mean, you get one of them dumbest kits, had mahogany in it, boy, it smells great. They're hard to build, too. Probably wouldn't be too hard for me now, but at that time they were hard to build. I remember that mahogany smell, boy, it smelled great. Where's my knife? shoot. They had HO trains. The county fair was always cool to go to. Let's see. That's live are awesome, but will even be better if you put it in the title. What part of the plane you will work on? Well, I don't know what part I will work on. Good to follow or see the videos later too. Okay, great. Yes, you did the diet. That's good, Jim. The diet will knock about 4 or 5 ounces off your build. A little bit of hard gummy stuff here. We can't have that. Can't have that gummy stuff. This is all detail sanding. It's you know, whatever I see is what I'm going to sand on. And that'll be every night this week. Detail. Every night I will detail something. I'll find some spots on it. So that when it comes Saturday, we can transition right to tissue. I don't want to have to go over anything. Of course, John will probably find something, and that's okay. Would be nice to find my knife. I don't know what happened to it. I got about 10 scalpels and I never can find one. Never. Always the wrong one. You know, you guys, some of you guys were talking about hollowing wingtips. If you get one of these are a loop. That's what I gouge it out with. And it works pretty well. Or that carbide tool that somebody showed, that works pretty good as well. And I've got to find a knife. Got to find a knife. Unbelievable. There we go. Not what I was looking for, but it'll do just fine. Question from a newbie. In a kit build, what is the message of sanding or carving the leading edge the right way, not to mod the shape of the airfoil? Well, let me ask you this question. Is the leading edge square a piece of square stock or rectangular stock? Or is it already airfoiled? Because there's two different ways to do it. Now, because I've been doing this over 50 years, I just, I have a pretty good eye. I can sight down it and see candle it or whatever and see if I'm out of shape. But I'm going to give you a surefire way if it's a triangle or a rectangle piece of material. If you have a router table, you can take a half inch router, the one that's cupped, edge router, and run it through each way. One pass this way and then flip it over and one pass the other way. And that'll make a nice round airfoil. However, a round airfoil is not going to be correct to the shape of the rib. So then you take a long sanding bar and start sanding over the top of that, front to rear. Couple pesky questions. How much do you thin round off color coats? And how much do you thin clear coats? I thin them both exactly the same. One more time. On the clear dope, I start out with a quart mason jar, and I fill it halfway full of dope. Then I take the thinner and I fill it up. So now we have a quart. Started with a half quart, now we got a quart. Shake that up real good. Apply 3 coats on the airplane and get the base down. And then we're going to start putting the tissue down. So you get the tissue down, you're going to do 3 more coats with that mixture. Then you're going to add clear dope, or you're going to add thinner, fill it back up. So basically you're going to end up with 75-25. And what that does is it gets rid of the brush strokes. Now just because you have it doesn't mean you have to use it all. If the airplane has picked up a nice shine, like this wood is shiny already. It's got a sheen to it. The grain's been closed with the sanding and the 3 coats of dope that's on it. So it's not going to get any more coats of dope. You want to keep the weight down. So then once you get a shine, kind of a shine, a gloss, you look at it in the light, you got kind of a sheen on it. You're going to take 1/2 pint of color. 1/2 pint, that's 4 ounces. You're going to pour that into a mason jar. You got 4 ounces in there. Now you're going to thin it with 4 more ounces of thinner. So you got 8 ounces of thinned dope. That'll give you 4 2-ounce cups on a touch-up gun. And I can do this whole airplane in 1 coat. That means 2 ounces of paint. 2 ounces of paint. And if if it looks a little spotty, you can touch it here and there, and then a dusting. So you're getting, Randolph dope is different than any other dope. I think it's better than Aerogloss myself as far as coverage goes. But just a dusting. Do not try to make it 100% opaque. If you make it 100% opaque, it will be a wall banger. So you just get it white, or whatever color you're going to paint it, and then start adding your trim colors. So you're going to use another, fluid ounce of trim colors. Put them on with an airbrush, or depending on how big a area you're going to do. Okay, so now you have your airplane completely in color and trimmed. You still only used a 1/2 quart of dope. A 1/2 quart and a couple of ounces of color. So we'll say a 1/2 quart of dope. Now my latest trick is to go to non-tautening butyrate, which is Brodak's Crystal Clear, only it's not Brodak's, it's Randolph non-tautening butyrate dope. It's crystal clear. It has no tint in it. So that's my top coat. So I take a clean mason jar and I fill that mason jar up halfway with clear non-tautening dope, and then fill it with thinner. Now you're allowed to use as much thinner as you want, but you can only allow 1 quart of dope total. So now we have a half a quart of material filled to the top So we have a full quart of thinned material. So you start spraying it, and that quart is going to give you four coats. But you're going to get more than 4 coats because you're going to keep adding thinner to that material. So you got a quart, you put on 2-3 coats, and it's down a little bit in the can. Fill it back up with thinner, put it on again, fill it up with thinner, shake it real good, keep going backward. Just add as much thinner as you like. That's how I do it. I get a 6-ounce finish on a 700 square inch model. This airplane had a 7-ounce finish on it because it's 50.8. It was a 0.35, 50.35, I think, the way it sits right now with no covering on it. Well, before it was 57 ounces. So it was a 7-ounce finish. And we're going to try to do it lighter yet. Now, one of the things that's kind of important, if you look at this wood, it's kind of white. It has a white hue to it. That's because we're tinting the clear now. You take that clear and add 3-4 tablespoons of white to it, and you'll see this weekend when I put the covering on it, you got white covering, and then that white tinted clear. This airplane will be white. I mean, it won't take just a couple of ounces to get it pretty opaque. When you hold my airplanes up to the sunlight, you can see right through them. You can see the ribs inside, and that's okay. If you got more paint on it than that, you got too much paint on it. Like my Tucker, I think I cheated the system a little bit and put one or two extra coats of white on it, and that's why it's 62 ounces instead of 57. But what are you going to do? You'll find that most guys, they'll lie to you, and they'll tell you, well, yeah, my airplane's 65 ounces when it's really 75 ounces. Now we got Jim on here. He was an appearance judge the year I brought my S6B Supermarine, 66-inch wingspan, had a PA65 in it. It weighed, it was a guppy. It weighed 56 ounces. Huge airplane, 66-inch wingspan. Him and Charlie said, how in the heck did you get an airplane this big to be that light? Well, I think I only got, I can't remember whether it was 16 or 17 appearance points. And Jim was the appearance point judge because I had cheated and left a coat of paint off the bottom. The bottom didn't look as good as the top. So I run him down to his hotel room and I said, hey, what's wrong? Why did I get it? How come so low? It's a nice airplane. It's still hanging on the wall in St. Louis. And he told me, never again will I not finish the bottom as good as the top. I'll have to forego that extra half ounce and just go, well, that's the way it is. Just have to do more sanding. The key to a good paint job is right here, what I'm doing. I've been sanding now for a week. You guys have been following along, and I've been sanding and sanding and sanding. And I'll be sanding and sanding and sanding for the next 2 weeks. Just because I have this sanded, this weekend I'm gonna put covering on it, this all starts all over again. It's a never-ending deal if you want a decent airplane. And you just keep consistently dropping down in grit. So this refinish job started out with 180, then I went to 320. I'm on the 600 now. When I get the covering on it, will drop down to 1,000. It'll get sanded with 1,000, and then as I add the clear and stuff, it'll 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, and then you polish it with 10,000. Shine doesn't come from paint, it comes from elbow grease. Unless you're using spray shine, then it's a 16-ounce paint job. And that's the way it is. I lived in Eugene, Oregon for a while. Gerald Shamp, who's on this forum, I used to fly when I was a Eugene prop spinner. Morris Gilbert was my flying buddy. These guys, Morris has since passed away. Been all over the country. I've always come back, no matter all the motorcycles I've owned and the race cars and all, I've always come back to airplanes. This is a cheap hobby compared to some of the hobbies I've been in. Even if you buy a $500 PA, that ain't nothing. My motorcycle had a $1,700 crankshaft in it. Kind of wish I wouldn't have sold that bike. Wish I wouldn't have sold my shovel head either. But that's the way it goes. I tell you what looks really good when you get it right is these wingtips on a stab or elevator. When you get it rounded right and smooth right and doped right, they look nice. They look so good. Same with the wingtips, you know, they're hard to do. I'm going to try not to cheat like I did the last time. I'm probably going to do some more airbrushing on this than I did the last one, because I got the airbrushes, and trim will go on with airbrush. Save some weight. Anybody got any other questions? I mean, it helps me a lot when I get them questions, so I got something to talk about. It's hard to talk to yourself for 3 hours, an hour at a time. That's why I come up with some of them goofy stories. I'm going to have a problem up here on the nose, but I cannot keep standing on it until I get some covering on it. There's a low spot right there. So I'm going to have to, might get a double layer of paper there. Matter of fact, that's what I'll do, is I'll put a double layer of paper in there, and I'll make one of them popsicle stick straight edges and try to build that up. I mean, it's only, it might be 0.02 difference. It's less than a piece of paper, but I can feel it. And if you can feel it in the sun, you're going to be able to see it. And that would kill me. So on thin and clear coats, keep thinning it, and just because you got it doesn't mean you got to use it. My high roller, I was getting close to 64 ounces. John said, "You're not going to make 64 ounces." I said, "Oh yeah, I will." When I got to 63, stop painting. It is what it is, and you just start sanding, and hopefully you can get it to look right. So you know each coat is going to add an ounce. Hey, Craig. Yep, I've worked out a paint scheme. I've said it a couple times. It's gonna be because I don't want to jam this out. This will be orange and probably some scallops on it, and it'll go out this way. It's going to have a white leading edge with red checkerboards, and then it'll transmit. The back half will be white, and maybe some sunbursts. I don't know. It'll be colorful. It'll be more colorful than it was the last time. There won't be any trucker girls on it, or the trucker girl and the YouTube badge were things to hide the repairs that were made throughout the season. Well, this ain't going to have any repairs on it, so there's no need for that stuff. I like it. It's, I wish it was lighter. $50.35 ounces. As is. Huh. So we might hit the 65 mark or 55 mark. Yeah, it's hard to see as the same model, but if you look at last week's, if you look at 7 days ago, you can see when it was orange. All the orange crap's in the box over John's house. It'll be fine. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching. I'm going to eat me a TV dinner, and eat a TV dinner, and watch some TV, relax. We'll be back tomorrow night for another hour of sanding. And, you know, it's several days of sanding. That's about all I got to do. Come along real good, though. All right, fair winds, tight lines. Let's go, Brandon. See ya.